Last week, we made a video reacting to your guys' hot takes for the upcoming NHL season, so now today, I want to give you guys my hot takes, or bold predictions, whatever you want to call them, for the 2023-24 season. This is a video that I've been making every offseason for like 4 or 5 years now, so it's kind of became a staple on the channel. Earlier today, I actually went back and looked back at some of my older lists, and I usually don't do so hot when it comes to these predictions, but hey, that's why they're called bold, right? If any of you missed the video where I reacted to your hot takes and bold predictions, then be sure to let me know what yours are down below in the comments. If you're new to the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with my first bold prediction. The Detroit Red Wings finished the season with a top 10 ranked power play. I always make it a point to have at least one Red Wings centric bold prediction in these videos, and usually I go with a player, a goal total or a point total, something along the lines of that, but this year I decided to go with a team prediction. Detroit has not had a top 10 ranked power play since the 2014-15 season, where they had the second best power play in the league. Since then, they've had the 13th ranked power play, 27th, 24th, 19th, 29th, 30th, 26th, and then 17th this past season. Special teams are obviously a massive part of the game, and if the Red Wings want to have any chance of making the playoffs in a very talented Atlantic division, I feel like their special teams have to be well above average compared to the rest of the league. Because despite the fact that the Red Wings roster has improved greatly over the past couple of seasons, I still feel like this is a team that may struggle to score at 5-on-5. Looking at the personnel on the Red Wings roster, I feel like they do have the potential to put together a very strong power play unit, and it's not like they were one of the worst in the league this past season. They were about average, 17th in the league. Steve Yzerman addressed one of the Red Wings' biggest needs this offseason, and that was to acquire an elite level finisher, a true natural goal scorer in Alex DeBrincat, who should greatly help with the power play. Yzerman also brought in a true power play quarterback in Shane Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere is an offensive defenseman through and through. I would like to see him quarterback the top power play unit this season and take some of the pressure off of Moritz Seider, who's pretty much had to do everything on the Red Wings blue line over the past couple of seasons. My ideal first unit heading into next season would probably be some combination of Ghost on the point, and then the 4 forwards would be Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, David Perron, and Alex DeBrincat. And on paper, I feel like that is easily the strongest power play unit the Red Wings could put together in a very, very long time. Moving along now to my next bold prediction, the Arizona Coyotes have a record of 500 or better. I didn't want to get too crazy and say that they were going to make the playoffs, but I feel like a 500 record with this roster is achievable. This is a team that over the past 2 seasons have a combined record of 53 wins, 90 losses, and 21 overtime losses. So finishing with a record of 500 or better would be a massive improvement. And if you ask me, the Arizona Coyotes this offseason have quietly been one of the most improved teams, bringing in guys like Jason Zucker and Alex Kerfoot. They also brought back Nick Bjugstad. They recently signed Matthew Dumba to a 1-year deal. They brought in Sean Durzi via trade from the Los Angeles Kings, adding those guys to a core that already includes established top-line forwards like Clayton Keller, who is a legit star, like Nick Schmaltz, who's coming off of a very strong season. Also factor in the internal growth of guys like Barrett Hayton, Matthias Michelli, Dylan Genther, Victor Soderstrom, and somebody like Logan Cooley, who signed his ELC this offseason and is expected to be a dynamic top 6 center, potentially even as soon as this upcoming season, especially if Karel Vejmelka and Connor Ingram can replicate their play or come close to replicating their play from this past season. I really feel like this roster has the potential to surprise some people. Again, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think 500 is achievable. Next up on my list of bold predictions for the upcoming NHL season, I feel like this one's kind of generic and that a lot of people will be making this bold prediction, but I'm going to go with it anyways. The Boston Bruins follow up their historic record-setting season by missing the playoffs in 2024. It's actually kind of funny. In the video I made last offseason giving my bold predictions for the past season that we just had, I actually had Boston missing the playoffs in that video, and as we all know, that bold prediction could not have gone any worse. So we're going to run it back again this offseason, and given the circumstances, I feel like it's a lot more likely to happen this year than it was last year. After their disappointing first-round series against the Florida Panthers, obviously the big story this offseason for the Boston Bruins was the future of Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, which, as we all know, ended with both Krejci and Bergeron hanging up the skates and and calling it a career. And there's really no sugarcoating how big of a loss it is for the Bruins to lose not one, but both of their top 2 centers in the same offseason. And as of right now, although there is still lots of time left for something to happen in the offseason for the Bruins to make moves, they haven't done anything to replace Bergeron or Krejci. You look at their projected lineup right now, and their top 2 centers are Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle. Some other notable departures from Boston this offseason: Taylor Hall, who was dealt to the Chicago Blackhawks in a cap dump. Tyler Bertuzzi, they lost him to free agency. Same with Garnet Hathaway and Dmitry Orlov. On paper, this roster is significantly worse than the roster the Bruins had to finish out this past season. I do still think the blue line looks really good, and this past season they had the best 1-2 punch in net in Linus Ullmark, who won the Vezina Trophy, and Jeremy Swayman. So I feel like this Bruins team still should be very solid defensively and be a tough team to score against. My biggest concern, though, is definitely the offense. Aside from guys like Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak, and I guess you can throw Jake DeBrusk in there as well, they don't really have anybody capable of driving play on their own and creating offense on their own for either themselves or for others. For all of those reasons I just mentioned, and the fact that the Atlantic Division continues to get better and better with teams like Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo expected to be much improved next season, I'm going with the Boston Bruins to miss the playoffs after the historic regular season that they just had as one of my hot takes for 2024. Moving along now to my next bold prediction for the 2023-24 NHL season, I have somebody other than Connor Bedard wins the Calder Trophy. Now, depending on who you ask, this may not be looked at as all that bold of a prediction because I'm just taking the field over one guy pretty much, but I feel like this does qualify given all the Bedard hype, the fact that he's viewed as probably the best prospect we've seen since Connor McDavid, and also given the fact that he's going to be put in a position to succeed right away. You have to imagine the Hawks are going to stick him on one of the top 2 lines, probably going to play with somebody like Taylor Hall, be given first unit power play time. The spotlight is going to be on Connor Bedard. He is far and away the odds-on favorite to win the Calder heading into this season. If you look at DraftKings Sportsbook, they have him as minus 155, which basically means if you were to bet $100 on Connor Bedard to win the Calder Trophy before the season starts, or at least as of right now, that's what the odds are now, they're always changing, your return would only be $155. So I'm taking the field over Connor Bedard. A couple of names that I feel like could win the Calder over him: Logan Cooley in Arizona, who we talked about earlier in the video. I'm expecting him to put up a ton of points. Adam Fantilli, if he makes the Blue Jackets out of training camp, probably going to be one of their top 2 centers. There's going to be so many good rookie defensemen with guys like Luke Hughes, David Jiricek, Simon Nemec, Simon Edvinson. I think this year's Calder Trophy race is going to be very exciting. If you look at the list of guys expected to be in that Calder Trophy conversation, it's a pretty stacked list. And now for the final bold prediction of the video: after making the Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers missed the playoffs in 2024. When I was reacting to your guys' bold predictions in that video last week, this was one of the bold predictions in that video, and it's one that I really liked because I could definitely see it happening. There's going to be a lot of recency bias involved when talking about the Florida Panthers because, yeah, sure, they did just make the Stanley Cup Finals, and they were dominant throughout their run through the Eastern Conference until they got to Vegas in the finals, but let's not pretend that they were some powerhouse during the regular season. The Florida Panthers just barely squeaked into that second wildcard spot, finishing just 1 point ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Panthers did not make a whole lot of changes so far this offseason. Notable ones would include trading Anthony Duclair to the San Jose Sharks and signing Evan Rodriguez as a UFA. Aside from that, they did make some minor moves, bringing in guys like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Dmitry Kulikov, Nico Mikkola, who were brought in to kind of help replenish the blue line because the Panthers are expected to be without Brandon Montour and Aaron Ekblad for a good chunk of the start of the season, and that's kind of the biggest reason why I'm making this bold prediction and why I think there's a good chance it happens, because their blue line without Ekblad and without Montour might be the worst in the Atlantic Division, and a bad blue line in front of Sergei Bobrovsky, I feel like that is a recipe for disaster. Again, recency bias is going to play a big factor here in a lot of people's minds because the last we've seen of Sergei Bobrovsky, he was a monster in the postseason, but during the regular season, he was a below average starter. The Panthers wouldn't have even made the playoffs if it wasn't for Alex Lyon, who really took the reins as the Panthers starting goaltender to finish out the regular season and even started the playoffs as their starter. So for all those reasons, and again, similar to what I said when talking about the Boston Bruins, the fact that the Atlantic Division is going to be a very tough division this season, or at least is expected to be, I could see the Panthers missing the playoffs. Could you imagine if a team that made the Stanley Cup Finals the year prior, and also a team in the Boston Bruins, who were the best regular season team in NHL history, both missed the playoffs the season after? That would be insane. But that is going to wrap up this video, giving you guys my 5 bold predictions for the 2023-24 NHL season. Like I said at the beginning, if you missed the video where I reacted to your guys' predictions, let me know what they are down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all soon.